Subscribe for more stories and show your support by giving this video a thumbs up. Barnabas's Secret, the true story of the bad wolf. Deep in the old fairytale forest, lived a wolf whom everyone spoke of with fear and whose name caused children to hide under their blankets. His name was Barnabas. But Barnabas was nothing like the drooling, terrifying monsters described in fairy tales. On the contrary, he was a gentleman. Every morning he would wake up, comb his silver-grey fur in the river water, file his claws, and go for his morning walk in the forest. Barnabas was not a carnivore, he was a gourmet. His favorite foods were blueberry jam and fresh walnut cake. There was only one reason why Barnabas was known as bad in the forest. He was very fond of his silence and order. He would glare at birds singing too loudly and scold squirrels who threw trash on the ground. That's why the forest folk called him Grumpy Barnabas. That morning, Barnabas was on his morning patrol again. He sniffed the dark clouds coming from Storm Valley. "Rain is coming," he muttered to himself. "My fur will get wet, I hate that." Just as he was getting ready to return to his home, that is, his cave, he heard a shrill sound tearing through the silence of the forest. La la la! La la la! Barnabas covered his ears. Again, he grumbled. "Who is disturbing the peace of the forest?" He glided silently, like a shadow, toward the source of the sound. When he looked through the bushes, he saw her. A little girl dressed in bright red from head to toe, wearing a huge hood. She was swinging a basket in her hand and singing in a terribly off-key voice. Furthermore, oh no! She was crushing the flowers. This was Ruby, the baker's granddaughter from the town. Barnabas stepped out of the bushes with the air of a forest ranger. His intention wasn't to eat the girl or anything. He just wanted to warn her to be quiet and walk on the path. "Ahem," coughed Barnabas, in his most polite voice. Ruby jumped back with a scream. "Help! Wolf! He's going to eat me!" Barnabas rolled his eyes. "Calm down, little lady. I don't want to eat you. I already had plenty of mushroom soup last night. Do you see those rare orchids you are stepping on? I was going to ask you not to crush them." Ruby stopped in surprise. "Can you talk? And you aren't going to eat me?" "No," said Barnabas, brushing a speck of dust off his fur. "Also, a delicious smell is coming from that basket. Is that cinnamon?" Ruby smiled. "Yes. I'm taking it to my grandmother. She is sick, so I made her cinnamon buns and chicken broth soup." Barnabas sniffed. He didn't care much for chicken broth, but he adored cinnamon buns. "Good," he said. "But a piece of advice, little girl. A storm is coming. If you go that way," he pointed to the river path, "you will get stuck in the mud. Use that hill path. It is a bit longer, but the view is nice and your feet will stay dry." Ruby was surprised that the wolf was so polite. "Thanks, Mr. Wolf. But I love the river path, there are frogs there," she said, and without listening to Barnabas, she ran off, diving into the river path. Barnabas stared after her. Stubborn children. Barnabas was right. Within minutes, the sky turned black, and lightning began to flash. Boom! The forest instantly turned into a grey and cold place. Barnabas was about to return to his cave when he thought of Ruby. That little girl would definitely be in trouble on the river path. Also, her grandmother, old Mrs. Rose. Barnabas knew her. Mrs. Rose was the kindest human living in the forest. She would sometimes leave milk and cookies outside her door for Barnabas. If Ruby is late, Mrs. Rose won't be able to take her medicine, thought Barnabas. Besides, her roof has been leaking since last winter. That old woman will be miserable in this rain. Barnabas sighed deeply. His warm cave and soft pillow were waiting for him. But his conscience wouldn't leave him alone. All right, he said to himself. Let me go help that old woman. Maybe I'll get a bun as a reward. Barnabas started running on all fours. He was so fast that he glided through the trees like the wind. He used the shortcut. Ignoring the thorny bushes and slippery stones, he ran toward Mrs. Rose's cottage. When he arrived at Mrs. Rose's cottage, Barnabas was soaking wet. His silver fur was matted down, his majestic appearance was gone, replaced by the look of a wet kitten. He knocked on the door with his paw. A weak voice came from inside. Ruby. Is that you, honey? The door is open. Barnabas entered. The house was freezing. The fireplace was out, and rain was coming in through the window. Mrs. Rose was shivering in bed. When she saw the wolf, Mrs. Rose wasn't scared. Because she wasn't wearing her glasses. Oh, Ruby! How you've grown! And, you've gotten so hairy, said the old woman. I am not Ruby, Mrs. Rose, said Barnabas gently. I am your neighbor from the forest, Barnabas. Ruby is on her way, she will be here soon. I came to help you before the storm gets worse. Barnabas got to work immediately. First, he closed the window. Then he threw logs into the fireplace and stoked the fire with his powerful breath. The room began to warm up. Mrs. Rose watched him with a smile. How kind you are. People are wrong about you. Barnabas's fur was still wet, and he was shivering. Mrs. Rose said, There is my pink nightgown and bonnet in the closet. You can wear them so you don't get sick until your fur dries. Barnabas was going to object at first. A wolf wearing a pink nightgown? Never. But he was so cold that he put his pride aside. He put on the pink, frilly nightgown and the lace bonnet. When he looked in the mirror, he looked ridiculous, but at least he was warm. Half an hour later, the rain stopped. Barnabas was dozing in the armchair next to the fireplace in his pink nightgown. Mrs. Rose had drunk her hot soup and fallen asleep. Suddenly, the door opened. In walked Ruby, covered in mud, her hair a mess. Ruby saw the figure in the pink nightgown sitting in the armchair. In the dim light, she thought it was her grandmother. Gee, Grandma, said Ruby in surprise. You've changed, so much. Barnabas opened one eye. He wanted to play a little trick on Ruby. Come here, child, come, he said, pitching his voice high, and enjoying himself a little. Ruby approached. Grandma, why are your ears so big? Barnabas giggled. To hear you better, my dear. You make so much noise that I evolved so I wouldn't go deaf. Ruby took another step closer. So, why are your eyes so big? To find my way in the dark and show you the shortcut, but you didn't listen to me, said Barnabas in a sarcastic tone. Ruby asked, trembling. So, why is your mouth so big? Barnabas yawned, revealing his huge teeth. Because I am hungry enough to eat those cinnamon buns in that basket in one bite. Just at that moment, the door burst open with a loud crash. Step away, monster! In came Axel the town woodcutter, axe in hand. Axel had heard Ruby scream in the forest, the one she let out when they first met, and had followed her. Axel wanted to be a hero. He raised his axe in the air. I won't let you eat Grandma! Ruby screamed. Barnabas raised his hands, paws in the air inside his pink nightgown. Hey, hold on a minute, rude man. We are having a civilized conversation here. Just then, Mrs. Rose's voice was heard from the bed. Stop. The old woman sat up in bed and put on her glasses. Axel, put that axe down immediately. He is my guest, and he saved my life. Axel froze in astonishment. But he is a wolf. And he is wearing a pink nightgown. Ruby was confused too. Grandma, didn't he eat you? Mrs. Rose laughed. Eat me? He built me a fire, he closed my window. If it weren't for him, I would have frozen. Barnabas adjusted his pink bonnet. Also, you didn't need to break the door down, Axel. Have you heard of an invention called a doorknob? Once things calmed down, everyone gathered around the fireplace. Barnabas, still in the pink nightgown because his fur wasn't dry yet, Ruby, Mrs. Rose, and Axel the woodcutter, who was blushing with shame. Ruby opened her basket. The smell of cinnamon buns filled the room. Barnabas's stomach rumbled. Ruby handed the biggest bun with the most walnuts to Barnabas. I'm sorry, Mr. Wolf, she said. I misunderstood you. You are a good person. Barnabas took the bun gently. My name is Barnabas, little lady. And yes, I am good. Just a little grumpy, and I don't like loud noises. Axel put his axe aside too. I apologize as well, Barnabas. I believed the fairy tales too much. I was prejudiced. Barnabas took a bite of his bun. His eyes closed in happiness. This was the best thing he had ever eaten in his life. You are forgiven, he said with his mouth full. But I have one condition. From now on, when you enter the forest, you will not crush the flowers, you will not throw trash on the ground, and, please, sing a little more quietly. After that day, things changed in the fairytale forest. Barnabas was no longer referred to as the big bad wolf. He was known as the pink-cloaked knight of the forest. They sometimes joked about the nightgown. Every weekend when Ruby went to visit her grandmother, she would stop by Barnabas's place too. There were always 2 buns in her basket. One for Grandma, one for Barnabas. Barnabas even started teaching Ruby the shortcuts in the forest, which mushrooms were edible, and the language of the birds. As for Axel the woodcutter, he no longer cut down trees, he planted new saplings in the forest. Barnabas supervised him strictly. And if your path ever leads to that forest one day and you are very quiet, you might see a respectable, silver-furred wolf sitting under a plane tree, reading a book with a monocle and eating walnut cake. But don't make any noise. Or else he might give you that famous look and say, "Do you know why my ears are big? So I don't have to hear that noise you're making." Barnabas finished his last bun, cleaned the crumbs from his whiskers, and smiled peacefully. His story had started wrong, but it ended in the most delicious way. The end.